Dealers are panicking as unsold 2026 R-Vees pile up, and prices are breaking. Units that launched just months ago are now dropping below $25,000, and it's happening quietly. No promotions, no explanations, just sudden markdowns and empty showrooms. When brand new inventory falls this fast, something has gone very wrong behind the scenes, and nobody is saying the real reason out loud. Holding these R-Vees now costs dealers more than getting rid of them. Floor plan interest is stacking, lenders are watching, and buyers, they've vanished. So prices are collapsing fast. But here's the danger. Some of these R-Vees are being cut loose for reasons that won't show up on the window sticker. Before you think this is the deal of the decade, you need to understand what's forcing these price drops and which rigs could turn into expensive mistakes. The first signs of panic on the lots. You can tell something is wrong before stepping out of the truck. The moment you pass a major R-V dealership, the rows look different. Units are parked tighter, stacked deeper, and pushed all the way to the street like someone is trying to hide how many are really there. Then you notice the tags. Some are bleached almost white from months of sun. A few have handwritten markdowns in thick red marker, crossed out more than once as prices keep falling. The most shocking signs are on the newest 2025 rigs. Models that launched just months ago now show slash numbers dipping under $25,000, and still nobody is dragging them home. Walk the lot, and the mood shifts even more. Salespeople are not chasing customers. Managers stay in their offices. No one talks unless approached. Everyone knows they are holding too many units at the exact moment demand has gone quiet. The tension is not hiding anymore. It is sitting right there in the open, printed on every discount sticker blowing in the wind. But what you see on the lot is only the surface. The real shock begins with how these piles of unsold rigs formed in the first place. The oversupply dealers cannot outrun. This panic started months earlier, when production for 2025 models kept running even after early warning signs appeared. Factories had already committed to large batches, expecting a normal spring rush, but the rush never came. Instead, shipments kept arriving week after week, filling dealer yards faster than customers could clear them out. Stores that usually held 80 or 90 units suddenly found themselves sitting on 150 or more, with no practical way to move them quickly. When that much inventory stacks at once, prices do not drift down slowly, they collapse. Many dealers tried hiding the problem. They spread rigs across overflow gravel lots. They parked them behind service bays. Some even rented off-site storage to make their public rows look healthier. It did not matter. The numbers kept growing while interest slowed. And once new rigs were being discounted below $25,000 just to get attention, the entire cycle accelerated. The oversupply was now too large to contain, and the markdowns had only begun. And nothing proves the scale of the problem more clearly than the day supply numbers dealers hoped would stay buried. If this breakdown is helping you see what dealers are not explaining, take a second to like the video so others find it. Subscribe for updates as this market shifts, and share your experience or questions below, because real pricing stories help expose what's actually happening. The receipts dealers did not want public. If you want to know how deep the panic runs, look at the day supply counts pulled from internal dealer software. Several 2025 models crossed 120 days without moving. Some hit 150. A few exceeded 180 days, unheard of for units that should have turned in 45 days during a normal cycle. When a rig sits that long, the panic is not emotional, it is mathematical. Every additional day costs money, and every week pushes the dealer closer to losing control of the pricing altogether. Auction sheets confirm the same story. R-Vees that once commanded strong bids are now being relisted multiple times. Some travel trailers expected to clear at $29,000 are barely pulling interest at $21,000. Dealers see those numbers. They know exactly what it means. If they cannot sell on the lot, the auction will take the unit for even less, and they will still absorb the loss. That is why the markdowns on the lot feel sudden. They are not optional. They are survival moves. And once this math becomes unavoidable, the final stage begins. Forced price cuts that hit levels no one predicted months ago. How prices crashed. Under $25,000, the public sees a sale. Dealers see a deadline. Floor plan interest charges rise every month, and R-V sits unsold. When a 2025 model passes 90 days, the cost becomes a problem. When it crosses 150 days, it becomes an emergency. Lenders add penalties. Audits tighten. Managers are told to clear aging units immediately, even if the final price wipes out all profit. That is how a $31,000 rig drops to $24,000 overnight. Not through generosity, but through sheer financial financial pressure. Incentive stacking finishes the job. First comes factory cash, then dealer cash, then the unadvertised reduction approved only after a manager reviews the aging report. The final number is whatever prevents another month of interest charges for 2,025 shipments that arrived too early and sold too slowly. That number is now dipping under $25,000 across multiple states. The markdowns look dramatic because they are. This is not repositioning, it is liquidation. With the collapse now visible from every angle, the next sections reveal why these forces hit so hard and what they mean for anyone watching this market closely. The interest rate shift that broke RV affordability. The first major force behind the current collapse is the sharp rise in borrowing costs. When shoppers financed an average travel trailer in 2021, a payment around $399 per month was common on a standard loan. That number felt manageable because interest rates were historically low and lenders approved extended terms without hesitation. Fast forward to today, and the same unit financed at modern rates often pushes above $610 per month, even before taxes and registration fees. The RV itself did not change. What changed was the math, and the math determines whether someone signs a contract or walks away. When payments climb that quickly, potential owners do not simply hesitate. They exit the market altogether, reducing the buyer pool dramatically. This shift alone pushed a significant portion of demand out of reach, especially for families already stretched by rising costs in other areas of life. Manufacturers continued planning production around the old payment environment, unaware that the financial floor had already moved beneath them. The market they expected no longer existed, leaving inventory stranded. And once affordability slipped out of reach, another shift arrived that changed what shoppers wanted altogether. The shift in what shoppers value now. Even among those still capable of buying, priorities have changed. Shoppers increasingly prefer smaller rigs that burn less fuel, tow more easily, and require simpler maintenance. The appeal of compact, nimble R-Vees has grown steadily as fuel costs remain elevated, and households look for ways to cut operating expenses. At the same time, interest in features once considered premium has faded. Large slide-outs, complex entertainment systems, and tall multi-zone layouts no longer hold the same attraction. These features add weight, require more repairs, and raise the cost of ownership over time. Many shoppers now question whether they truly need them. This shift blindsided manufacturers who spent recent years building larger, more feature-heavy rigs under the assumption that consumers wanted more of everything. In reality, many were quietly rethinking what they could afford to operate. That reevaluation spread across the market, reducing demand for the very units that factories had prioritized. Inventory grew not because interest disappeared entirely, but because shoppers preferred a different type of RV than the one arriving on the lot. And this mismatch between what buyers wanted and what factories delivered set the stage for an even deeper problem. The wrong RVs got built. During the past production cycle, factories invested heavily in luxury layouts, long wheelbases, and upscale trim levels. They believed the trend toward premium rigs would continue indefinitely, supported by strong sales during the early 20s. But that surge was fueled by a temporary environment of cheap credit, stimulus-driven savings, and heightened travel demand. By the time 2025 models were being designed, the assumptions no longer matched reality. What actually happened was a significant pivot towards starter units and practical rigs that cost less to own, store, and maintain. Yet factories kept delivering high-end models with high price tags and high operating costs, exactly as consumers were turning away from them. When production momentum meets declining interest, inventory accumulates quickly. Each shipment added to a growing pile of rigs that were no longer aligned with real-world preferences. Dealers could not reorder differently because allocations were set months ahead. The result was a market flooded with the wrong products at the wrong time, leaving no simple way for manufacturers to reverse course. And once misaligned production collided with tightening household budgets, the pressure intensified from all directions. The economic triangle behind the collapse. The final piece is an economic triangle that tightened faster than factories or dealers could adapt. Inflation pushed up the cost of everyday necessities, reducing the money households could safely allocate to discretionary purchases. Credit tightening made lenders far more selective, raising approval standards and limiting the number of qualified applicants. Income growth failed to keep pace with rising expenses, creating a gap between what people earned and what everything cost. These three forces formed a squeeze that shrank the buyer pool at the exact moment more R-Vees were arriving on dealer lots. This triangle affected every segment of the market, from entry-level trailers to upscale towables. Even shoppers with good credit reconsidered large purchases as financial pressure increased. The result was a silent pullback that did not announce itself in headlines, but showed up unmistakably in sales data and dealership traffic. Manufacturers had already committed to their build plans, unaware that the environment supporting those plans had shifted. By the time the full picture emerged, thousands of rigs were already in transit to dealers unprepared for the downturn. With the root causes now clear, the next step is understanding what has been unfolding inside dealerships as this pressure builds. Desperation discounts. Dealers do not advertise. Behind the showroom doors, the pricing strategy looks very different from what appears online. Dealers facing stalled inventory often agree to markdowns that never show up on public listings. These reductions come from internal conversations where managers decide it is cheaper to take a loss now rather than continue paying interest on each unsold R-Vee. In several stores, 2025 models have been discounted by $5,000 to $10,000 before negotiations even begin. Some travel trailers listed at $31,000 have quietly sold for $23,000 after a manager reviewed the aging report and approved a liquidation price. These decisions are not made with enthusiasm. They are made because the inventory clock does not stop ticking. When a unit hits 120 days or more, desperation starts to overshadow profit projections. Every extra week raises the carrying cost, and every extra month increases the risk of a lender calling attention to the stagnant stock. The price cuts simply reflect how urgent the situation has become. And while these markdowns help dealers survive, they expose a second issue affecting current owners far more than expected: the depreciation curve owners did not see coming. The rapid price drops on new R-Vees have created an unexpectedly steep depreciation curve for those who purchased early. A rig bought for $49,000 at the beginning of the season may now list on the used market for $31,000 or even less, because comparable new units are being sold near those numbers. This erosion of value occurred faster than anyone anticipated. Owners who planned to trade in after 2 years suddenly find themselves thousands of dollars underwater, owing more on their loan than the unit will reasonably fetch in resale. Even those who purchased modestly priced travel trailers are encountering similar challenges as depreciation reacts not just to age, but to the collapse in new unit pricing happening around them. This shift has created a ripple effect on the used market, pulling values down as dealers attempt to align trade-in offers with falling retail prices. For many owners, this is the first time they have witnessed depreciation on this scale within a single season, making it difficult to exit their loan or upgrade without absorbing a substantial loss. And all of this ties back to the financial structure, putting extraordinary pressure on dealers in the first place. If you want clear, data-backed updates before these price moves become public, subscribe here. This market is changing fast, and timing matters more than ever. Staying informed now can mean avoiding regret later, especially as dealers adjust prices quietly behind the scenes. The floor plan crisis. Floor plan financing is the backbone of dealership operations, and right now, it is also their greatest vulnerability. Each R-Vee on the lot is financed like inventory in a warehouse. With interest accumulating every month, it remains unsold. When a unit crosses 90 days, the cost becomes noticeable. When it crosses 150 days, the expense becomes a serious threat to profitability. Lenders also impose aging penalties, increasing interest rates, or requiring partial paydowns when inventory sits too long. Some even schedule audits where representatives count units on-site, checking for discrepancies and evaluating whether the store is managing inventory responsibly. If too many rigs are aging at once, lenders may demand immediate action, pushing dealers to move product at any cost. This environment leaves little room for patience. Dealers must convert old inventory into cash quickly, often resorting to internal markdowns, auction dumps, or below-cost sales to avoid deeper financial penalties. The longer a unit sits, the more dangerous it becomes to the bottom line. And as this financial pressure spreads, certain brands are showing signs of deeper structural trouble inside their networks. Brands facing real trouble. Some manufacturers are beginning to feel the strain as dealers reconsider how many units they can realistically support. When a brand's models develop a reputation for slow turnover, dealers may request fewer allocations or drop certain lines entirely. This contraction weakens the overall network and makes it harder for owners to find service, warranty support, or parts. Reports have surfaced about longer wait times for components on select brands, with some warranty claims taking weeks to process due to staffing reductions or shifting priorities. A few manufacturers have even paused specific production lines after units accumulated faster than they could be sold. These signs point to broader instability that extends beyond individual dealerships. When networks shrink, owners face more limited support options, particularly for specialty models that rely on brand-specific components. Delayed repairs erode confidence, and potential buyers notice when a brand appears less stable than its competitors. This instability feeds back into the sales slowdown, further weakening the manufacturer's position in the market. With instability spreading inside dealerships and across brands, the focus now shifts to what all of this means for anyone watching the market right now. When a cheap RV becomes a financial trap. A discounted RV may look appealing at first glance, but the lowest price on the lot can carry costs that are not obvious in the beginning. Some reduced units come from lines with limited service networks, meaning repairs require longer wait times and potentially higher labor charges. Others use components that wear out faster, especially when manufacturers cut expenses during production with cheaper hardware or outdated electrical systems. These weaknesses reveal themselves only after months of use, often long after the original excitement of the purchase has worn off. The resale value on these rigs can also collapse quickly because buyers checking the market notice how low similar models have already fallen. When trade-in time comes, the difference between what the owner owes and what the unit is worth can be wider than expected. A low upfront price can be helpful, but it must be balanced against long-term upkeep and realistic resale expectations. When these factors are not considered together, the financial trap appears later rather than sooner. And those risks grow even larger when warranty coverage or parts support begins to weaken. Warranty and parts exposure. Warranty protection only works when a network is stable enough to honor claims quickly. As certain brands reduce production or reorganize their dealer relationships, the support structure thins out. This leads to longer approval times, more limited parts availability, and increased out-of-pocket costs for repairs that once would have been covered. A failed water pump or refrigerator module can become far more expensive when the nearest authorized service center is booked weeks out or located counties away. Meanwhile, some suppliers are slowing shipments to manufacturers with shrinking footprints, prioritizing brands with stronger demand and clearer long-term presence. Owners of these vulnerable rigs may encounter delays that affect travel plans or force temporary fixes just to keep things functional. When warranty delays stack up, the cost of ownership rises quietly but consistently. Even small components can add up when paid for repeatedly. Understanding which brands are maintaining strong support and which are contracting is essential because the financial difference often shows up long before the next sale or trade-in. And these warranty pressures are unfolding at the same time the pricing landscape is shifting for the entire industry. Where RV prices are heading in the next 90 days, the next 90 days are shaping up to be a period of continued adjustment as the industry attempts to correct the oversupply that has built up across dealer lots. Several manufacturers have already signaled plans to slow production for the remainder of the season, delaying some 2026 models to avoid flooding the market again. Even with those adjustments, dealers are still working through large inventories that will likely push more units into auction pipelines. When auctions fill, retail pricing follows, because stores must compete with liquidation numbers broadcast directly to buyers and wholesalers. Lenders are also pressuring dealers to clean up aged inventory more aggressively, which often means approving larger markdowns earlier in the year. If these trends continue, price movement will remain downward for rigs that are already struggling to sell, while stable categories may hold firmer, but still face mild reductions. This window offers opportunities for disciplined shoppers, but only if they understand how the timing aligns with dealer incentives and inventory cycles. With the pricing direction clearer, the next step is figuring out how to move safely through this market without taking unnecessary risks. How to navigate the market safely right now. A careful approach begins with timing. Early season shopping often reveals the most flexible deals because dealers are reconciling stacked inventory and preparing for factory evaluations. Waiting a few weeks can widen discounts further, especially on models carrying high day supply numbers. When negotiations begin, it helps to verify how long a specific unit has been on the lot and whether comparable rigs have shown up at auction recently. These details guide realistic offers and help identify when a manager is willing to authorize deeper reductions. markdowns. Focusing on categories with strong parts, support, and stable warranty networks reduces long-term exposure, even if the upfront discount is smaller than on riskier brands. Avoiding the fastest-falling rigs protects against steep depreciation, especially for those planning to sell or trade within a few years. The safest moves come from aligning purchase timing with dealer pressure points and selecting models that maintain reliability and support over time. With market conditions shifting quickly, clarity and patience can prevent costly surprises. With these steps in place, the larger picture of the industry becomes easier to understand, and the path forward becomes far more manageable. This market is shifting fast, and the people who win are the ones paying attention early. If you've seen price cuts like this, or you're shopping right now, drop your experience in the comments. It helps everyone. Hit like if this breakdown saved you time or money, and subscribe for real updates as this situation keeps unfolding.